Every day you get up, same routine, different day, same routine. And you say to yourself, there has to be something that is different, something that I can do different, something that brings a different result. And sometimes what we do, because we become regimented into the same routine, we settle. We settle for what the result is, even though we desire to have something different. But what if I told you that you do have more options? And I give you an extended, how can I say, idea beyond what you have been told. An expanded version of self, right? Beyond what we've been told in what I'm going to call a limited idea of self, right? So instead of doing the same thing, different day, we get to hear a few options that we may have that we could possibly consider or even implement. So today we're going to talk about what we can do different to bring a different result. All right? So here we go. Welcome to Pi Sovereign Signature, the 0 Point Experience Through Me edition, where true coherent experiences become the frequency one feels resonant to attune to. So I'm going to first start off by saying this. Things come in 3, 6, and 9, right? And so we're going to bring the metaphysical and the practical sense of understanding in balance so that you can kind of get an idea of how all of this is going to tie in and make sense. So I'm going to start with 3, right? So things come into 3s, right? And how you can actually look at your life in terms of how you can orchestrate your life is 3 ways, right? It's either you're going to be told what to do, or you're going to have ideologies of life that comes into the midst that tells you pretty much how life is supposed to be orchestrated, and you just pretty much follow what you have been told, and you take that for the truth that has been presented, right? Or you either tell yourself what it is, right? That means that you hear what it is that is being told, but you kind of walk the beat by your own drum, right? Or you find a balance between the two worlds that, I know that, I could be told what to do, or I can walk the beat of my own drum, but I may find some fascinations in the things that has probably been out there that has been told of me, and I might find it interesting, and I may want to delve a little bit into those particular types of realities, as well as, understand the dynamic of the realities that I create for myself. So I find a balance between the two. Now, when you decide to find the balance between the two, that actually brings a little bit more of an excitement, because it allows you to have the ability to, ground yourself into the reality, right? Without really trying to escape the reality itself, right? But we're going to get more into understanding that particular dynamic. So what happens in the reality for those who are actually moving from a more systematic aspect, where you're getting up, doing the same routine, and you're moving along in the same aspect of, not necessarily getting the result that you want, but you're kind of moving in a sense of orchestration that I've done everything that I've been told to do, and necessarily, you're not necessarily getting the results that you actually want, but you're getting the results that was actually orchestrated by being told what you were supposed to do, right? But you don't necessarily get that feeling of satisfaction, or that essence of feeling complete about what it is that you're doing. And that has a lot to do with you not necessarily moving in the essence of your authentic self. Because a lot of times when we decide to move based off of how things have been orchestrated for us, right? Saying if you do this and if you do that, you get this result. Then, and if we follow suit with, moving in that space, and we do get the desired result that we intended by following suit, 9 times out of 10, if it's not something that is, truly what you desire to do, it's going to be a temporary fix, right? It's not going to last long. But a lot of times what happens is that we adjust or we settle because we invested so much time into what we've done, right? And it looks weird to just say, okay, I done did all of this and I got the result that I was intended. It's not really what I want to do. It's not yielding what it is that I actually thought would actually happen. But I put so much into it now, it looks really crazy for me to try to do something else. And, in retrospect to, looking at it, in my most humblest of opinion, I think sometimes we do ourselves a disservice when we go against the natural grain of what it is that we truly want to do, which really goes against the authenticity of what it is that we want to do. And it makes it feel like it's taskful. It makes it feel like we're settling for something, and then we try to find other things to, offset that feeling by, getting into other things, right? And it also depends on, where that experience take you, in your mind state. Because some people can bring themselves into doing other things that are kind of like, take them out of that momentum of not really feeling good about what it is that they're doing. And they try to do something else to kind of like, overcompensate what it is that they don't like. And it kind of brings somewhat of a balance. But then some people, they, get into a lesser, state of not liking what it is. And then it puts them in a more depressed state, right? So it depends, right, on when you go against the true essence of who you are. And that's the most important thing. But we're going to get a little bit more deeper into that, because what we want to do is to find a balance. We want to be able to find a balance, and we want to be able to find the balance in the truth of who we are. And that's where the 0 point experience through me is going to come into play, because I don't want people to feel afraid about the 0 point, because a lot of folks understand 0 point is like, oh my goodness, this is like, oh, the end all be all for everything. And that doesn't necessarily have to be true for everybody, so I'm going to speak from a place of experiences, right? That I have experienced 0 point from, that brings me clarity into how I understand my now moment and how I navigate through my life experience, and the clarity that it has brought me in understanding and overstanding the way the human experience is being navigated through by me moving through the 0 point essence of self, right? Now, it's, I'm not going to say that this is for everyone, right? But in the truth of how I understand my now moment, it does bring balance. It does bring clarity. It allows me to have an expanded awareness and also be grounded into the human experience and the reality. It also allows me to understand the biology of the reality and how the biology may be, experiencing the reality one way, whereas my spiritual side or my expanded consciousness may be way out there in terms of experiencing the reality in a different way, right? And how it must integrate. So we're going to get into all of that and to really bring in a sense of truth, not from a textbook perspective, but from a real life real-time experience, because a lot of people get lost in the sauce thinking that they have to be a certain way, and you bring a lot of resistance to your reality, which kind of procrastinates and bring more drag to what it is that you're really truly trying to achieve. So we're going to really get into the gist just through my experiences to give more of a real life perspective of, you know, how it could actually look through the human experience. All right, so stay tuned. So one of the many things that really get people in a trip is living, right? How am I going to pay bills? How am I going to have the wealth that I see many people have, and, you know, material wealth and different things of that nature? And a lot of times what people don't really understand is how is all of that accomplished. And a lot of times what happens is that people give a textbook, you know, sense of, when you get into spirituality, they tell you, do your affirmations, do this, do that, or what have you. And when you don't understand the order of operation and how that actually commences, it brings more, you know, how can I say, it brings more of a resistance to the process when you don't really understand how it actually goes. And you may see someone else, they say, they give their story and they give their analogy that they've done their affirmations and they're making, you know, they're making progress in different things of that nature, and they've manifested, you know, their reality and different things of that nature. And you're like, I'm doing the same thing, but it's not yielding the same result as you are hearing other, you know, people yielding the results that they're saying that they're doing from their manifestation. And it has a lot to do with you, right? And one of the greatest things that I, you know, had to start with myself is that I had to take ownership and responsibility for my now moment, my reality. And I began to live in the present moment, right? And it takes a while to get to that space. For me, at least, it took a while for me to integrate with knowing about the present moment, because we can speak about the present moment, but to actually live in the present moment, it took me a while to really get into living in the present moment. So I had to constantly speak it until I became it, until I become embodied into living in the present moment, because that is what happens when you begin to manifest any reality, is to become integrated into the experience and to embody the experience. So when we begin to understand, you know, the true essence of manifestation and how that actually comes into fruition and different things of that nature, and how to sustain it and maintain it, you become it. You become the very thing that you want to experience in the reality. You embody the experience. But we are going to begin to understand how to embody the experience, how to become the experience, how to live in the present moment, and all of these many different variations of being. Because, you know, to say affirmations every day and you're still, you know, moving in the essence of survival and doubt, and you don't really truly believe that you are worthy of the very thing that you are actually wanting to change into your life, it's going to bring a lot about of, you know, frustration, and you're not going to see the results that you want to experience, right? And I am living proof of that, you know what I'm saying? Because when you have lived in a fixed reality for so long, and you have embodied that reality for so long, the biology of you is in alignment energetically for that reality to be a true reality, until you now change the rhythm of your biology, until you now retune your instrument. It's still different than like having a piano or you know, a guitar or whatever. It may be it's maybe out of tune, and now you have to attune it to another reality that you want to experience it in, right? You may not want to experience E flat anymore, or the tune of A, or this particular bandwidth, or even this radio. You may not want to listen to country rock anymore. You may want to listen to R&B. It's so many different variations of, ways that you can actually look at this. But nevertheless, however, you have to begin to attune your instrument, your vessel, to the reality that you want to experience. And until you begin to understand that in that way, speaking affirmations and different things of that nature, and still believing in a reality that you are currently experiencing in by, doubting and, moving into the essence of survival, is only going to retain and sustain you into the reality that you're trying to shift from, right? Even though you're saying your affirmations, right? Because, that's what your body and your biology is regimented to, even though your mind is saying that it wants something different. And that is what your expanded awareness is, your consciousness. That's when your consciousness is now saying, okay, we're ready for something different. We're ready to experience, something outside of what we've been experiencing, for quite some time. We want something different. But because we were in agreement for so long, the biology is saying, well, yeah, I understand that this is what you want. And I know that this is what, you're saying. The expanded awareness is saying, okay, consciousness, I get it. But my biology, the cellular memory of my biology is saying, yeah, but no. Okay, until we can get it synchronized and aligned through our nervous system, and our nervous system can feel safe enough that this reality is a true reality, I'm just going to default, back into the survival sense of being, because this is what has been the true reality for this period of time. So we have to begin to embody the reality that we want to become. So how do we do that? All right? How do we begin to embody the reality? And this is where a lot of us now this is the tea. And this is why I'm so grateful that I've had this experience, because now I get to tell you guys how to embody the reality that you truly want to be in, so that your nervous system can feel safe enough to say, okay, this is what we have to do to say, okay, we're safe to be in this space. All right, so stay tuned again, and we shall delve into how the nervous system can begin to feel safe in the reality that we are now choosing to become. Okay, to feel safe in the reality that you want to become, now you got to begin to unplug from realities that keep you in the survival state. So I'm going to tell you what I had to do, right? I had to begin to unplug from a lot of realities that, even though the storyline may have been what it was, I had to look at how it affected my nervous system energetically. Because truth of the matter is that your nervous system does not see the storyline. The nervous system only understands the reaction, or the the amplification, or the energetic charge from the emotion, right, that the storyline gives, right? The energetic charge that the storyline gives, right? So it doesn't know the story, the particulars or anything like that. It knows the charge. It knows the energetic charge that that comes along with the story, right? So if I'm constantly listening to survival state realities and different things of that nature, and I'm constantly embarking into those stories and then into those belief systems, my nervous system is going to respond that these are energetic survival realities. Now, yes, to many of you guys, it may deem itself to be true. But if you want a reality that is different from that, I chose to unplug from those realities, right? I chose to plug into the realities and I had to tell myself that even though that my nervous system is saying that, okay, Patrice, yeah, I get what you're saying. You're choosing to plug into these realities, but you're gonna have to do this for a quick minute in order for me to believe that this is true, because you're not gonna trick me. Yeah, you're not gonna trick me, because I'm my cellular memory. Because remember, you're water. Water holds memory. Okay, you're a fluid. Okay, and fluid in your body, cellular memory, all of that is holding on to the electrical charges that has been consistent, right? Which, if you're believing in, I'm just going to say survival realities. And you're going to say, well, what are survival realities? Well, I can only speak of what my survival realities were to me, because everybody's idea of what emotionally charges them in survival state is a little bit different. Okay, it's not everybody that is the same. But my survival realities were, being in a permission-based reality, that a job that was really not my cup of tea, and I was surviving in a job that was just not my cup of tea, right? So that was a survival-based thing for me, so that I had to unplug from that. And I can talk about that too. I'm going to talk about my, situation that I was at a job, and I don't hold them, responsible. I'm grateful for the experience, because it has afforded me to be in this space now, to be able to articulate, what that is and what that does on the nervous system, so that way you guys can have a sense of understanding the things that you need to plug out of and plug into, right? So that you're able to begin to shift out of, how can I say, a discoherent aspect of being, and more into a coherent state. Okay, and this is what allows you to now begin to embody the reality that you want to experience. But I had to unplug from those particular states and people, places, persons, and things. So you may have friendships or relationships that you might have to unplug from too as well, right? That creates more discord than harmony. Okay, anything that contracts you, right? That makes you feel tight, that doesn't really give you that sense of expansion. You might have to, take a step back. One of the things when I was in my job and different things of that nature, I said, when I decided to leave, I said I came in peace and I left in peace, right? I didn't leave in a space of anger or in a space of discord, because that was going to be a part of my healing, right? In terms of me telling my nervous system that I'm moving into a safe place, into the reality that I am choosing to be in. So now I'm recalibrating my vessel. I'm recalibrating my instrument. I am telling now my instrument that I am choosing a different calibration of reception of energy that I'm choosing to experience in realities, right? And one may say, well, Patrice, I see people manifesting, regardless of, how their vibrational state is. And I'm like, yes, you will be able to manifest. But the thing about manifesting in survival state is that you're always going to have to manifest in survival state, and the sustainability into doing that is that you're always going to have to manifest in survival state, right? And so whenever you decide to say, I'm tired of having to get up and having to, be this person. Like if you ever wanted to go back and say, okay, I want to be myself, like your true self, right? You want to take off the mask, right? And you say, I want to go back to my true self and not be in survival state, and you want to be in coherent state. That means that you have to go all the way back. You have to recalibrate your body into a coherent state. And so everything that you did to sustain yourself into that built your wealth in survival state, okay, you may lose a lot energetically in that regard, to now begin to bring yourself into a coherent state. Okay. And so it's not to say that it's not impossible. Yes, it's not impossible, but it's just a whole nother different calibration of energy to sustain the reality. So yes, you can create realities in survival state, and you can become a millionaire, a billionaire in survival state. But when you're ready to now become a coherent person to operate, and you want to take off the mask, and you want to come back down into your authenticity, and you want to move from your authentic state, and you now want to, embody a more coherent state of being, right? The dynamic changes. Now you gotta retune your vessel. And the beauty about retuning your vessel, it changes a lot. It changes your health. It changes your wealth. It changes a lot. It changes a lot when your body is now becoming more coherent in terms of your wealth, and the sustainability of that is way more sustainable because you're moving in your essence of your authenticity. So the coherent you is your authentic you, and you're not in a hustle state to maintain or sustain, because you're moving from your own internal sense of creational self. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole lot easier to be. You know what I'm saying? Because you're moving from an authentic state. So you're unplugging from those survival realities. Whatever those survival realities are, you're saying no to. Now, does those same survival realities still commence? Yeah, they're still going on. You're just withdrawing from the realities so that you can now begin to, shift out of those vibrational states of being and recalibrate, and now begin to plug into the realities that you now want to experience. Now, the thing about plugging into those realities is it's sometimes, depending on what it is that you want to actually be a part of, it may not be that accessible. So this is where your imagination is going to have to really come into part, because you may not be in the vibrational state to be in the midst of those particular types of people. Or if you do put yourself into those misses type of people, to give you an example, some people place themselves in a waiter position because that's the job where they are at in survival state, to be among millionaires, so that they can be in the energy of millionaires, but their calibration is still in survival state. So they take a job as a waiter, which is a survival state type of thing, so that into a country club, so that they can be energetically in the midst of those particular types of energies, right? However, it's still survival energy if those millionaires became millionaires through survival state, if that makes any sense. But we're going to get more in depth into it, because this is the part that trips up a lot of people, and I want to stay steady and ready into the embodying state of shifting out of survival and shifting into coherency and what that looks like. So stay tuned. So when you now actually have decided to want to embody into a different regimented reality, and this is actually coming from a coherent perspective, that you are now attuning your body into out of survival now. And I want to say I want to bring balance to it. You have to, I said to myself, I give myself grace, because it took a while for me to get into, I was how old, how many years in survival state. So I'm giving my body grace to come out of a decoherent state into coherent state, right? So I'm giving my body grace, because it sustained me into fixed realities, experiencing, racism, experiencing, politics, all of the things that I look at as, survival realities, that came into my world, that I was in agreement to experience. And this is the thing about taking ownership and responsibilities for realities that I chosen to say yes to, even though I was in a disagreement with the realities, I was still, even in disagreement, I was still in participation. So when you're in participation with the realities, it still holds an emotional charge. It still gives an energy charge to your vessel, right? You're still attuning to the reality, unless you pull out of the participation part of it, and then you participate in realities that you favor. But when you're choosing reality, when you're choosing survival reality, you're in agreement with it, even in disagreement, and because it still gives you an emotional charge. You still get upset when you see black on black crime, or you see disenfranchised realities and different things of that nature, and you get upset and all of these different types of things, and then you're like, woe is us as a collective, or woe is me as a person that it happens to, if it happens to you personally. But when I began to realize that none of these things were actually happening to me personally, and then I was attuning to realities because of a collective feeling of obligation, because of, the illusion of separation because of the color of my skin. But when I peel back the layers and was looking at things like, well, this is not necessarily happening to me personally, then that is when I began to realize, then why am I participating in a reality that I am not necessarily experiencing personally? Because then it's now wreaking havoc on my biology, and it's not allowing me to really experience the reality in a coherent state that I would like to experience in a coherent state, more so than a decoherent state. And I am one of the ones that are choosing to experience wealth in a coherent state, because I don't wear masks. I'm not a masked person that will, and when I say mask, what that means is that I choose not to even experience wealth consciousness in material wealth in survival state, because survival is still, in essence, for me, a mass state of being, right? So with that being said, right, that's still mask. Okay, I'm still masked when I'm choosing survival state to experience realities, right? Because my true state is a coherent state of being, right? So I choose to not experience realities masked in that regard. Okay, so that's the difference. So there are beings that are still choosing to experience realities masked, and it's not right or wrong. It's about choice. It's not right or wrong. It's about choice. So when you're ready to experience in a coherent state, you pull back from the realities that circumvent you from experiencing that. Now, to speak to those who are in survival and want to experience realities, like, become a millionaire and want to, become wealthy and different things of that nature, and you're still in survival, yes, your body is already attuned to survival realities, right? So yes, you can still become a millionaire. You are already attuned to survival energy, survival realities. All you have to do is pick, choose, and refuse how you actually want to experience, and your reality will come to fruition. You just now have to attune to how you want to actually move through the reality, and make it work for you. But a lot of if that's not happening, the reason why it's not happening for you is because that's not the way at a soul level you want to experience the reality. So if you're not becoming wealthy through how your body is already acclimated and attuned, and you're going through all of the hustle cultures, you're going through all of the things, or you're feeling like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do it that way, then at a soul level, that's not your sovereignty is taking over. Your sovereign self is saying, this is not the way that we're choosing to, acquire wealth, or we're choosing to experience wealth consciousness. And so this is why none of the hustle cultures is working for you, because at a soul level, you're like, this is not the truth, this is the mass version. So, this is why it's not working for you. even though your body is already attuned to the hustle culture. Now, for some people it is, that's the evolution of how their soul is already attuned and it's working for them. But if it's not working for you and you done signed up to every hustle culture and you done did that and it's not working and you done did that and your body is already acclimated to hustle and it's not working for you, that means that at a soul level that you are attuned more to the coherent state, and that's the way that your sovereignty is wanting to experience wealth consciousness. So now, the work has to be done and to reconfigure your vessel to embody the coherent frequency of. And it's work. I'll be the first to tell you that it is work. It's not easy. It wasn't easy for me. And I will go into more details about it and different things of that nature so that people can get a real, viewpoint of how it actually looks, from, I know there's a lot of, things that are out there, but the human experience for me that I can explain, in detail from what I went through or still is going through. It wasn't easy. It still ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? But I can articulate it to a point where I can give a little bit more clarity about the process. And I'm grateful for it. Living in the present moment allows for me to be able to be very okay and very grateful for what is transpiring. So integration, shifting out of momentum, pick, choosing and refusing, unplugging from the reality, for those who are not experiencing wealth through hustle, right? You've tried and it's not working. And if you have tried and you are here, then that's a key essential thing, right? That's why you're here, because you're one of the ones that are operating from the sovereign state. And so your sovereign self is now listening to how to actually move out of the hustle side of self, or the incoherent state or decoherent state of being, and unplug from the survival realities. Even though it may be true for everybody else, it's no longer true for you, because you're moving out of the incoherent state of being, the survival state of being, into a coherent state of being. So therefore now you got to plug into realities of your choice that are coherent to you, right? And it's realities that don't constrict you, okay? That don't make you feel tight in the chest, that allows you expansion, that allows you to breathe. And 9 times out of 10 is mostly of your authentic self. And what does authenticity looks like? We're going to talk about it. The authenticity of you is that breath. The moments that allows you to breathe, that exhale, the expansive you, the authenticity of you, where the first breath, the breath of you, the freedom of you, the freedom to be, the true you, the unmasked you, the unveiled you, right? And that's really what it is, the true you. And I've never really been one that to veil. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been a veil person, and I've just never been a veil person. Just never been a veil person. I've just never been a veil person. Okay. And so, I've been quiet. I've been quiet, but never been veiled. And so, you just have to be true to yourself, and a lot of times it's very difficult for people because, they feel that they have to be a certain way in order to climb that corporate ladder or to get what they need to get, or, whatever the reasons are. But there's no judgment in that regard, because it's an experience, and I don't hold any judgment to people that are experiencing that reality, because it is a divine choice. It is a choice, and it's not to say that it's a right or wrong choice. It's just a choice in terms of how the soul is choosing to experience and what is going to be gained or learned from that experience that brings you back to that authentic you. And sometimes what happens when a person has been in a veiled state or moving in a mad state for a very long time, operating, it does something to the vessel, operating out of the truth of self. It does something to the vessel. It puts a lot of stress on the vessel. And this is where, a lot of people go through dis-ease and a whole lot of other little different things that comes along with moving in a mass state or a veiled state of being. You know what I'm saying? But it's not to say that it's bad. It's not to say that it's good. It's good. It just is. And what comes out of it for the individual or the essence that choose to operate in that space, it's always been beneficial. You know what I'm saying? You get to learn something by being in that space. I've learned a lot in terms of me being in my authentic self. Learning how to, not be judgmental, even with beings that are choosing to be in other realities. And it takes a lot to pull away from that, because in the illusion of separation, cellular memory quickly wants to separate you for you to look at it from a perspective of separation, but you're not really separated from the essence of what other versions of you are doing. You're just making a different choice, right? From that to which other versions of you are doing. It's just you're making a different choice, not to say that you're separate from the versions of selves that are actually doing something different. It's that you're making a different choice, okay? And so it's all in the perspective of how you look at the reality that lessens the burden on the biology, right? It's all about perception and the perspective. The perspective is what lessens the resistance on the biology, how you choose to look at the reality. To give you an example of what lessens for me, I can look at something like teaching. I can look at teaching in terms of separation, or I can look at teaching in terms of wholeness. And when I look at teaching in terms of wholeness, it lessens the stress off of my biology, because I look at teaching in wholeness. I don't look at teaching in separation, right? In wholeness, I see that I can learn from a cartoon. I can learn from, there's a message that comes to me from a cartoon through remembrance, right? Through remembrance of a cartoon. I'm learning through remembrance through self of a cartoon, right? I'm learning through remembrance of self through a teacher, because in wholeness, that's just another version of me reminding me of myself in wholeness. So because I'm looking at the teacher not separate of me, but another version of me that is remembering me of myself, that lessens the tension off of my biology. Okay? Because I'm not in a rigid or friction of myself, looking at that person separate from me, like, oh, that's a teacher, separate from me, that went and got a doctorate degree. No, that's just another version of me that is reminding me in remembrance of me in wholeness of self, not in separation of self. So that takes a lot of the edge off in terms of just seeing myself in wholeness. So it's so many different things that can actually take the edge off of how you experience embodiment. And then now when it comes to moving into manifesting realities of visualizing whatever it is, lotto, a new car, or whatever it is that you see yourself in that space. You see yourself in that space because it already exists. Whatever it is that you truly want to experience, desire to experience, it already exists. Vibrationally, it already exists, because in the timeline that you're trying to drop the reality in the essence to where it's created, there is no time, right? It's already there. Everything already exists. And then you're dropping it into a time, matter, space, right? So that you can experience it in your vessel state of being in density, okay? So it already exists, right? You just have to know that it already exists. In wholeness, everything already is. And then that lessens the burden off of your vessel. And so during the process of all of this, that when you're shifting and plugging from the realities that cause you the stress, that cause you the survival states, you're going to now tell your vessel that you're safe, because now your vessel's still going to still have, I still wake up with my fists clenched sometimes, right? Because it's memory. It's memory, cellular memory, so even though I may be operating from an expanded awareness, my biology is still holding on to ideologies just through memory or whatever until it feels safe. So I can have expanded awareness, I can be enlightened and everything, but the biology still has to go through a process to trust that what I am choosing is true, is consistent, and integrated and embodied in biology. Even though I'm still being a part of a what is perceived to be a 3D reality, I still have to maintain that, I may be in this world, but I am not of this world. I am choosing different realities, and it's okay. Yes, my friends may be talking a whole bunch of stuff, and I unplug. I unplug because it does not align to that to which who I am in truth. It's no hard feelings. I don't judge the path that they are choosing, because they have a right to choose that path. It's just that is not my chosen path based on how I am choosing to now attune my biology. And I'm going to get into the essence of stillness, 0 point, because a lot of people are afraid of 0 point, and I don't know why, but I get it. But I'm here to say 0 point is that neutral. It allows you to go into a space of neutrality. And being in neutrality is what allows for you to see the bigger picture and allow people to be in their true space and not hold any judgment, allowing them to be, because everyone has a right to be. Okay, everyone has a right to be in their own truth, and it's a beautiful space to be in when you're able to see them being in their true essence and take ownership and responsibility for your choice in the reality that you have chosen. But I'm not going to go too deep into it because I want to have more to talk about and different things of that nature. But I will say this: if you have any questions as to what we have, I have conveyed here today, please do not hesitate to drop the questions in the comments. And if you like what you have heard here today, please do not hesitate to give me a thumbs up, because that'll put us in the algorithm. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Also, I have a few ebooks that are out there called the Genesis Key 1, 2, and I am working on 3 as we speak. And I also have some beautiful avatars that I am going to now start to place out there on the market, so you guys can experience harmonic olfactories with the avatars. And I'm so grateful for that. So you can check that out on my website, as well as my stand store. And I'm going to be opening up another store too as well, and the link will probably be updated pretty soon with that too. But that's all there on the channel itself already there. So thank you guys for being here. I'm so very, very grateful, and thank you for taking the time. And we shall do this one more again on the next go around. Thank you guys again. Talk to you guys later.